Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. It is 64 degrees in Hales Corners. There are showers in the vicinity, so be careful. Some light rain early this evening, lows overnight in the mid-50s. Your weather report is brought to you by, make sure I get this right, because I don't do this every day, is brought to you by, now I don't have it on my sheet.
Utke Heating and Cooling.
Utke Heating and Cooling, yes. So make sure you are checking out Utke Heating and Cooling for all your heating and cooling needs. And now let's hit this button.
What's the latest on the crew? Let's go inside the clubhouse with Drew Wagner of Forbes Sports on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Inside the clubhouse is brought to you by Focus Baseball. Sign your kids up now for July open tryouts at focusbaseball.com. Ages 6 to 17.
It is time for Forbes Baseball Milwaukee beat reporter and man about town, Drew Wagner, joins the show. Drew, you ever been to Canada? You ever been to Toronto?
I have.
I should probably turn your mic on. Hold on. There we go.
There we go. Hi.
Yeah, better. Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
You
We got
ever
to
been to
work on
Toronto?
that. We got to work on that intro music. I need something with more of a fiddle, maybe a banjo.
You know
steel
what?
guitar.
Charlie, you want to email Sparky? We can make that happen. We're
Yeah.
Odyssey. We are worldwide. We could do anything.
That's right. I have been to Toronto. It's a lovely town, and I'm a fan of. Well, this will come as no shock to you, Mr. Boston boy. I'm a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Not as
So
at least you're not a fan of the Montreal Les Habitants, the Canadians.
disgusting organization.
Thank you.
Just
Like
disgusting.
the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Like
Yeah,
we
exactly.
can agree to hate the Canadians together.
Yeah, I thought about going this weekend, but one, I wasn't sure that Canada would let me in, and
Fair.
two, I had no confidence that the United States would let me back in.
I think
So-
both of those are appropriate thoughts. And I wanted to wish you condolences on your loss last night.
I dislike Nebraska a great deal.
Yeah, again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I also, we all dislike Nebraska. They are.
I watched that game. And I'm like, oh, they are driving. This could be good. And I knew the second that he dropped back to air one out I knew right away. I'm like, there is before he threw the ball, I'm like, this is gonna get picked. And sure as hell, it got picked. That is the life of being a Cincinnati fan. Both the Bengals and the Bearcats.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those of you who don't know, Drew Wagner are a Milwaukee baseball insider, also a hardcore Cincinnati football fan, which totally
Explains my miserable, crabby nature.
I wasn't going to say it exactly that way, but that was kind of like where I was veering. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but we haven't had as much time today to dive into Brewers Blue Jays as I would have liked as a diehard baseball fan, because there's been some other news here in Wisconsin that we've been paying attention to. The Packers made a deal or something.
Is this guy good? No, I'm mad. I had this again, faint, fleeting, false hope that Mike Brown would finally do the right thing and make a deal and go after Parsons, because if there's anything the Bengals have needed, it's been defensive help, especially pass rush. Like, come on, man. And
that would have been fun.
My ultimate fear was that he would go to the Green Bay Packers, and
Well, your fear has been acknowledged and celebrated by fans throughout Wisconsin as Micah Parsons, I think, is set to land in about 25 minutes at Austin Strobel press conference at 6 o'clock. Gudikins is talking at 5. We'll carry those both right here on the Fan, and there'll be fun and frivolity for Packers fans, not necessarily Bengals fans. But let's turn our attention to the team with the best record in all of Major League Baseball, on its way to face the team with the best record in the American League and the second best record in all of Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays. As a baseball fan, Drew, I'm really excited for this weekend.
Yeah, it should be really good. It's easy to forget that the Brewers still have the best record in baseball, despite all that's happened in the last 2 weeks or so. There's been a lot of doomsday and naysayers. They're still in the driver's seat in the NL Central. They're still in the driver's seat for the top seed in the National League, and they're still. I don't know what Toronto has done in the last week because I've been busy, following the team that I'm paid to cover. But I think they still have a fairly comfortable lead over the Blue Jays for the best.
I believe it's 4.5.
Yeah,
it's still 4.5. Yeah.
Now that could obviously change this weekend. The Brewers need to play their A game. This is going to be the best team they faced in a couple of weeks, but I mean, it should be really good baseball. Now we say that, and we know the baseball gods will look down and go, ha, 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 we're going to make this a 13-1 route one way or the other, because that's just how it goes when you expect like a good, tight game. But it, on paper, should be pretty interesting. Now, personally, as much as I kind of like the Blue Jays team, even though childhood Andrew Wagner absolutely hates them for beating the Brewers out in 92 and then stealing that traitor Paul Molitor. I'm still bitter about that. I wouldn't mind seeing them get to the World Series, but quite frankly, I'd rather have the Detroit Tigers in the World Series because, again, while there is no I in team, you can't spell media without me. And I am all about postseason opponents to which I can drive. That's what I want. Like, I would like the Cubs and the Reds to be either the 1 or 3. So the Brewers play one of them in the NLDS and the other one advances to the NLCS and faces the Brewers. So, like, say the Cubs in the NLDS beat them, the Reds make a run to the NLCS, then I can drive to Chicago, then I can drive to Cincinnati, then I can drive to Detroit because it's all about me.
Yeah. I think, nothing wrong with that. Like that's as it should be, right?
Yeah.
Let's make that happen. So I don't know how much you've gotten to watch the Blue Jays or not this year. But I know that the Blue Jays are our team that again, like we say with the Brewers, like you got to play baseball for 27 outs. The Blue Jays very similar. Like they do not strike out a lot. They fight balls off. They put balls in play. They play with good energy and they have really good at starting pitching. And I think we're going to see that this weekend. Both teams, all 6 starters this weekend, really good starters.
Yeah, it is going to be some of the best pitching matchups that we've seen all season in baseball. I mean, both sides come into this thing and they are pitching. They're pitching their lights out. I was just looking up the stats here to see where the Blue Jays rank. They're 5th in strikeouts in the American League. They are, where is it? Their ERA. They are right up there. Come on. No, they're not right up there. All right. They're actually 11th, 4.23. So, that's something to be optimistic about. But you're right. Offensively, they play a very similar style to the Brewers. Maybe not quite as aggressive on the base paths. They don't go for that pressure as much as the Brewers do because they do have a pretty good amount of pop in their bats. I mean, these guys can, if you make a mistake to the Blue Jays lineup, that thing is getting hit up to Sudbury. They can crush, but they actually crush the baseball. Yeah, that was a Shoresy reference. 182 home runs this year. They're 4th in the American League, so they can do damage.
I think it's interesting that when you look at batting average in Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays and Brewers are tied for second as a team. They're hitting 258. The A's are actually 4th. They're hitting 253. They're tied with the Astros and the Dodgers. Then the Red Sox and the Yankees are hitting 252. And the Blue Jays are hitting 268. They're 10 points better than Philly and Milwaukee, who are tied for second. They lead the league in on-base percentage, not necessarily in slugging. You're right; they do hit a number of home runs, but there are some teams that are above, that are way ahead of them with that. But they put people on base and they come after. That's the way they come after you with that on base percentage.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They get on base, and the difference is they don't manufacture as much as the Brewers do. They're not as much of a station-to-station team as the Brewers are, and they don't have to because they got guys like Vladdy Jr. and Bichette who can just go out there and absolutely rake and clear the bases with one swing of the bat. That's the biggest difference between the Brewers and the Blue Jays is they've got more guys that more consistently clear the bases with the swing. So you have to be extra careful because, like the Brewers, that lineup does not chase a lot, does not strike out a lot. They put the ball in play, and then you have that added danger of absolute demolishing guys that are hidden in that order.
Yeah, Drew Wagner joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. I know we've got 3 in Toronto, and I don't want to look ahead to next week. Not that I'm looking ahead to Philadelphia. I'm looking ahead to Tuesday, really. Tuesday is the day off. And as we look at this Brewers team with how many games they've played, how important is it just for that day off to come and just for everybody to kind of reset for the September run?
Yeah, they need it. I mean, this team, like you can tell, they are tired. They're exhausted. That 14-game winning streak, they're running on adrenaline there. And you go in to Chicago and you play that 5-game series, which listen, there's an emotional toll that comes with it too. You go in there expecting to play that doubleheader, you play the early game, and then your plans get scuttled. So then you got to turn around again, get an early start to the next day and play 2, and you're all out of sorts.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It throws guys off rhythm. It throws them out of a routine. In baseball, football is such a brute sport. It's a lot of, pounding and hammering and all that stuff. That sounded weird. Basketball is more of an athletic sport. Baseball is a mental sport. And when you're going at it day after day, you just get exhausted. Add in the physical aspect of it. I mean, the bodies are run down, the minds are run down. That day off where you can just get up, get treatment, have your coffee, sit on the toilet for an hour and just veg out. That goes so far. And you can tell they need it right now. Like they haven't been getting run out of town these last couple games when they're 5-8. But you look at those losses, they had the lead in I think 7 of those games and just kind of faltered down the stretch. And some of that is not coming up with a big hit, not beating out the throw, not making the bullpen pitch. Like that's a sign of fatigue. And that happens to everybody. The Brewers are still a good team. They're just running on fumes right now. And I think if they get through this stretch, if you win this series, if you take 2 out of 3 somehow in Toronto and can come out and win that game Monday, then you're like, I think a game under 500, maybe at 500 for that stretch. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. No one's expecting you to win, 12 out of 19. That's just ridiculous. But if you can stay close to 500 during that stretch and keep your lead in the division, I mean, look at where they're at. They started, they were 9 games out when that losing streak ended. So then it dropped to 8. And then despite going 5-8 since, they've only lost a game and a half of their lead during that time. So they're still in really good shape and they've managed to maintain. But yeah, that off day is going to be huge, except for us. Tuesday is the most important day on the calendar because that is the Pud Galvin Cup in which the Brewers media takes on Brewers employees.
Wait, when is that?
It's Tuesday at 6 o'clock in Helfer. And
how did I not get my invite?
Got to be a regular, I think.
I don't think you do because I've played in the past.
No?
I was on a team that actually beat the Brewers employees for the first time in years.
Yeah, and we did that last year for the first time in I think 10 years. So we kind of.
So I was on the team 10 years ago.
Yeah, we kind of clamped down the roster. The CBA.
Clearly, you don't need good. Clearly, you don't need good. Clearly, you don't need good players.
Can you play shortstop?
100%. I play shortstop every day.
I'll talk to as the GM. I'll talk to my analytics people.
Yeah, you let them know because if you actually want a shortstop who can play,
I can talk to our commissioner Andrew Grumman and see if we can get a waiver.
Nice.
We'll need your walk-up song, and yeah, we'll see what we can do.
I mean, just anything with thunder in it, I think would pretty much qualify. Final question for you, Mr. Drew Wagner, on this Friday evening, as we'll let you go into the weekend. I know I saw you do a little reposting from our good friend, Mr. No Hair, Todd Rosiak. Jackson Churio is in Toronto, expected to be perhaps activated tomorrow. It looks like from what
That's what I'm thinking. And
is that what
yes,
you're thinking?
yeah, when we last had our last pregame session with Murph, which I think was Wednesday. Yeah, because yesterday was a day game. We don't get him before the game. Wednesday, he said if all goes well in his last rehab outing, he could be available Friday. So
Okay.
when I saw the move this morning, because they made one roster
That's for
move.
Zizny?
Rob the Strizny
Yep.
is back. Easton McGee is out. I think that's going to be a huge boost for the bullpen, getting his left-handed arm in there. I
Yep.
was a little shocked to not see Cherry on this. So maybe they're just giving him an extra day
Yeah.
before bringing him in. But I fully expect him to be active this series.
Nice. And that's going to be a great jolt for the team. And I know that we will talk about that Monday morning on the Mason Crosby Show.
You bet we will.
Wow. Drew, have an absolutely amazing weekend. Again, sorry about the game last night. The Bearcats have nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
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 Good luck with that, buddy.
All right. Talk soon.
He is Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports, our Milwaukee baseball insider, covering every Milwaukee Brewers game. When we come back, Jason Hirschhorn is going to join the show, and we're going to jump back into all the fun and frivolity and craziness that this Micah Parsons situation, experience, extravaganza has been since 24 and a half hours ago. I can't believe it's on. I feel like it's been a month. I feel like I've been talking straight for a month, and it's only been 24 hours. This is crazy, Charlie.
And it doesn't get old.
No, it does
Not yet, at least.
Nope. Jason Hirschhorn is next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Ah. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Mitch Nelles here in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. He's off, and they're going to enjoy the long weekend. I think we're all going to enjoy the long weekend. I know I'm going to enjoy Monday because I'm going to be at AmFam Field for Phillies Brewers. I cannot wait for that matchup after the 3-game series in Toronto. But we are still monitoring. I think Micah Parsons is supposed to land, if we're watching the right flight, I think he's supposed to land in Green Bay in about 10 minutes. Joining us now on Wisconsin Sports Daily, he is co-founder of The Leap, Jason Hirschhorn. Jason, thanks for jumping on today.
Yeah, I mean, I prepared for the Micah Robinson news, not the Micah Parsons news, but I think we can make this
I know. You know what? Only one mic at a time. Only one mic at a time. So, you can't. Yeah, exactly. I love that. I'm old and I get names wrong all the time. So like I mix up the names and I get, I feel like my brain used to work. And so I just tell people, I tell Tommy and Charlie, so I'm going to say this to you, Jason, don't get old. I mean, get old, but like, don't let, do your daily Sudoku or whatever you need to do to keep your brain sharp because it's important.
Because you told me to, I will.
Nice. All right, Jason, where were you 24 and a half hours ago when you found out this news? What were you doing? What were you in the middle of? Take us through your story.
I was quite literally in this seat that I'm currently in, monitoring the news, not because I thought that Micah Parsons was about to get traded, but around whatever it was, like 4-something p.m. on Thursday, we got the big news that he was getting traded. And weirdly, we actually got most of the contract details before we got the compensation details. And it just seemed very odd. Yeah. It's like, okay, so it's going to be a package that involves 2 first-round picks. That seems like a reasonable place to start. But no one's saying if there's going to be additional picks, or no one's saying there's going to be additional players. We had to wait what felt like an hour, but in reality it was probably only like 5-10 minutes to get that information. It was just a very strange way for that kind of news, that magnitude of information to break on the internet.
And I think as we've all gotten used to, it's that reload, right? Just hitting reload on whatever, the number of Twitter accounts or text messages or websites or whatever. I think mostly it's Twitter, but as that comes in, what was your reaction to the compensation? What was your reaction to the contract that Micah Parsons that we now see before us as Micah Parsons is on his way to being a Green Bay Packer?
The contract, for the most part, wasn't too surprising. Like, we knew, even had he remained in Dallas, that he was looking at a deal that was going to average somewhere in the mid $40 million range, which is roughly what he got in Green Bay. There's a little bit of a market with that because they traded for him, but still, that's about what you expect. The guaranteed money that we saw was very interesting. I was curious at the time how much of that would turn out to be signing bonus versus just guaranteed money. And as we found out subsequently, signing bonus is actually relatively reasonable in terms of a percentage. So this is going to be one of those classic Packers deals where there are roster bonuses in the future. They get restructured into other things so they can continue moving money, and that the real cap load doesn't ever hit that, the Packer salary cap at once. That's a Rust Ball classic. But the compensation though, I saw that there was going to be 2 first-round picks like everyone else did, and thought, okay, there has to be much more, not just more, but much more. And when you found it was Kenny Clark, it's not that Kenny Clark is not a good player. I know he had a down 2024. There were reasons for that, the foot injury, caveats that you can apply that would make him a potentially very useful player, whether in Green Bay or somewhere else in 2025. But this is someone that, for a variety of reasons, independent of the Micah Parsons trade, was at least a coin flip chance at best to remain on the roster going into 2026, just because of his contract, because of other things that they have on the books. So they basically moved on from Kenny Clark, in all likelihood, a year earlier than they would have, and traded 2 first-round picks to get arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL. And I did the math on those picks.
Okay.
Let's say that the Packers are at least a divisional round team this season and next. Keep in mind, they were a divisional round team 2 seasons ago and almost a divisional round team last year. And that was without Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
If that is the case, the maximum value, according to some of the more advanced trade charts, amounts to around like the number 5 overall pick. Again, that's like worst case scenario, really, considering where Green Bay has been without Micah Parsons. you would trade the number 5 overall pick and Kenny Clark, given all that we just discussed, for Micah Parsons every single time.
Yes.
So it seems to be the case that, yes, the Packers paid handsomely to get Micah Parsons in the fold, but it is also the case that the Dallas Cowboys did not get enough in return.
Jason Hirschhorn joining us on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, co-founder of The Leap. Follow him on Twitter at @by_JBH. Okay, so Jason, how do you like rectify that in your brain? Like what Jerry and Stephen Jones did? Because it smells a little bit of Luka and what happened in the NBA in the same city in Dallas. It also smells a little bit of like senility of the old guy just wanting to get rid of this guy. Or it also smells of like just like Jerry Jones and like whatever his pomposity and ego, just like saying, Micah, you're not worth that much. I'm just going to take whatever I want. Or panic that we're just going to take this and we're not even going to shop him around. Like what, like what of logic comes into your brain when you think that this is what the Cowboys accepted?
Well, clearly pride was a driving factor from Dallas's side in some way, shape, or form. Maybe all the things that you just listed also factors. I can't say for sure. I try to come up with some NFL analogy for the trade, like some comp that we could use historically, and there's not really one that exists. It's not really like the Herschel Walker trade. I know that's thrown out because the Dallas Cowboys were involved, but that was not only a different position, but just more compensation, and in a situation where the Dallas Cowboys really did need to reload in a way that they don't have to quite right now.
Yes.
And the best situation I can think of, the closest situation, and I don't even think it's a perfect analogy, where a superstar player got traded and the near unanimous reaction is that the team that traded that star player got fleeced, was when the Steelers traded Antonio Brown to the Raiders. Now that could give you some pause because in the moment, everyone's like, this is the best receiver in the NFL. You traded him for, I think it was like a 3rd round pick. It was not a lot of compensation. We learned subsequently, okay, there were other factors at play here that were not apparent to the public that led the Steelers to make this move. But then you have to add the context back in. The Steelers are one of the most stable organizations in the NFL and have been for quite literally my entire life. No one can say that about the Dallas Cowboys.
Nope, that is for sure.
So it is, unless you think that the Cowboys know so much about Micah Parsons behind the scenes that it deflated his value in their eyes and they were willing to accept any combination of 1st-round draft picks and a player they could use right now and have it all make sense, you still have to come back to the Dallas Cowboys needed to get more to justify this trade based on the player Micah Parsons is right now.
And then I don't know how much of Jerry Jones you got to listen to last night or listening to it today. We listened to like that opening 11 minutes, like he got asked one question, he answered it, and then spent 11 minutes just talking, gibberish of like, half truths and perceptions and thoughts and that they're going to be so, what do you make of Jerry Jones? Like what is to make of him at this point?
So if you watched that Dallas Cowboys documentary that came out fairly recently, there's a lot of that Jerry Jones in there. He is always thinking back to the moves he made in the past and trying to find ways to recreate them and recreate that success. In some ways, you can look at their entire offseason that way. Brian Schottenheimer, a coach with a real pedigree, is not someone that any other team in the NFL was considering for that position, that being head coach.
Right.
If you go back to the mid-90s, after Jimmy Johnson was jettisoned from Dallas, that is kind of what Jerry Jones did with Barry and all of that. A coach who'd been, in that case, out of football really for several years, but still someone that no one else would have considered for that position. I see a lot of that Jerry in the Jerry we're seeing in 2025. The decision to trade Micah Parsons, I think in his head, is a lot like the Herschel Walker trade. I mean, he mentioned that at various points or referenced it in some ways during that press conference. I don't think that's a fair comparison, as we discussed earlier. It just is not enough compensation. The team, the Dallas Cowboys, that is not in the same place as the Cowboys were in the late 80s. But that's what I think Jerry Jones views this whole situation as.
Which is crazy.
And that's where I guess there's the logic to them in the trade. That's not a justification from my standpoint. I don't think this makes sense for them at all. Like, even if you thought that as Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys could not compete for a Super Bowl in 2025 or in the near future, you could still have held on to Micah Parsons, extended Micah Parsons, and traded him in the future. His value is not going down. He's 26. Right. He's going to be 26 throughout the 2025 season, and he's already one of the best players regardless of position. So I don't see this as being a good return from their perspective. I don't see this being a good process from their perspective, but the Dallas Cowboys operate differently than every other team in the NFL. And I think that was on display during that press conference.
No doubt about it. Jason Hirschhorn joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. So what does this mean for the Packers? What does it mean for LVN? What does it mean for Rashard Gary? What does it mean for Edge Cooper or Quay Walker? What does it mean for the defense? What does it mean for Jordan Love? What does it mean for Matt LaFleur? How does this affect this team in 2025?
Well, most obviously, it affects the performance of that defensive front. Now, this was a defense as a whole that finished in the top 10 by most of the advanced metrics. That was not totally driven by turnovers, so that was a component of it. And it was a pass rush that wasn't quite as bad as it might have seemed, but they had a pressure rate of, I think it was like 20th in the league last year. 2 years ago, they were 6th. So it was a significant downgrade in that regard. Micah Parsons gives them the opportunity not just to get back into the top 10, but get right up to the front of the league. Because it's not just what Micah Parsons can do.
Go.
You know, he finished near the top of the league in pressures, and he missed 4 games last year. You know, it's going to make life a lot easier for Rashawn Gary, who's been dealing with double teams. You know, you can't double team Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons and expect to block pretty much anybody else. Right. Now, I know there's been discussion about what it means for the run defense. There's a lot to that. It's not just about the performance of the defensive line. The linebackers play a role in that too. And you mentioned Edgerrin Cooper. Edgerrin Cooper is going to be a big part of this. Quay Walker is going to be a big part of this. And I think you're going to see in certain situations, Micah Parsons lining up as an off-ball linebacker with the intent to blitz. You know, they have now Edgerrin Cooper and Micah Parsons, 2 guys who can do the sort of double A gap pressures, those mug looks. That's something that the Packers have experimented with in the past, but not with this level of talent. You know, Edgerrin Cooper, there was a scenario where he was going to be the best player on the Packers defense, if not for the Micah Parsons trade. Now you have him going into year 2 and Micah Parsons as a movable piece. And now Rashawn Gary doesn't have to worry about as many double teams. You know, in obvious passing situations, they're going to be able to throw so many waves of pass rushers at them because Lucas Van Ness, as you mentioned, someone who in pass rush situations can kick inside to like that 3-tech position, which means you could have a look as Rashawn Gary, then LVN on the interior, and then someone like Kingsley Enagbari at the other defensive end spot because you have Parsons and Edgerrin Cooper coming in from the linebacker position. There are not a lot of offensive lines anywhere in the league that can account for that. So
I'm here for it. That's for sure.
Jeff Hafley is going to be a very, very happy man in these game planning meetings. So I think that first and foremost is how it affects the defense. It takes it from a unit that was already going to be at least a top half of the league unit, you know, health permitting, to a unit that could potentially be probably not the best in the NFL. I still think there's enough, you know, not holes, but comparative weaknesses in that unit that it's not going to compete for that top spot. But if we're at the end of the regular season and it's a top 5 defense, no one would be surprised. And it's going to make life easier for everybody. I mean, that offense, we know, can go off. It's done it the last 2 years. Consistency has been the issue. Well, if you have a defense that's going to, on a regular basis, limit the opponents to, you know, maybe 24 fewer points, maybe under 20 points on a regular basis, you know, the offense doesn't have to be a juggernaut, even if it's likely to improve in certain areas. So I think their margin for error as a whole this year expands. And if this is a team that has that much margin for error and they get into the playoffs, you know what they're capable of doing. We've already seen it against the Dallas Cowboys, funny enough. And that was, again, without a player like Micah Parsons. So it totally transforms the identity of that defense and of the team as a whole.
Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Leap, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. One of the things we were talking about, speaking of some of those players we talked about, Rashawn Gary had 7.5 sacks last year. I don't know what the number is in Vegas for over-under sacks, but if I could get 7.5 sacks as the over-under for next year, I am hammering that over. I like you mentioned, you can't double team everybody every down. I just think he's going to be a huge recipient and beneficiary of Micah Parsons being on this team, that he's going to be able to get to the quarterback more than he did in the past. I don't know that I expect Parsons to have huge sack numbers. I expect normal Micah Parsons sack numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if everybody else on that defense ticked up a couple, and they just got more pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly, other than Parsons himself, where those pressure numbers are going to come. But as a unit, I think you're going to see a much higher pressure rate. I mean, again, they were 20th last year. They have been a top 10 unit in the recent past before that. I think that, health permitting is not a lock, but pretty close. Yep. And then the other factor here is they are going to be able to, on a more regular basis, not have to play as many games up front. Now, they'll definitely be willing to do it. I mean, they had success with it down the stretch in 2024, so you wouldn't abandon that, take it off the menu. But they've wanted to be an attacking front, those 4 players doing most of the damage with everybody else dropping to coverage. Micah Parsons allows them to do that in all likelihood. If you have Parsons and Rashawn Gary coming off the edges and, Devontae White, who we haven't really talked about, if he's able, when healthy, to get kind of the pressure numbers we saw early last year, they may not have to blitz or even do those simulated pressures. They can drop more players into coverage. And if they have that ability, good luck if you're an opposing offense on 3rd and 6 or longer. That is going to be hellacious for those quarterbacks.
Jason, any uniform prediction numbers for Micah Parsons? As I assume, I don't know if we'll find out right away when Goody talks at 5, or if they're going to wait and hold it back until Micah talks at 6, or whenever that happens. Any predictions there?
I have historically been terrible at predicting player numbers. I was pretty surprised, for example, when Matthew Golden ended up with 22. Sure. I know that he floated 0 and 1 on social media. 1 is not officially retired, but is effectively retired. I think they've only issued it a few times in the preseason, and that's been it. Okay. So my guess is that they won't go that route, but they've literally never issued 0. So it would be interesting for them to do this humongous seismic shift deal and then give him number 0 for the first time in franchise history. I think that would be appropriate, I suppose, even if for someone like me, it's a little weird to see an edge rusher in a single digit number.
Earlier today on the Mason Crosby show, I did predict 0. So if it is 0, I'm going to be very excited because
I'll credit you for the prediction if it comes true.
Well, I mean, I'll take credit for the prediction, but not for actually making it happen. I'll you can credit me for being lucky. That's pretty much.
We'll leave out the luck part of it. It would be
exactly.
Mitch's prediction. He said it first. It's canon now.
Yes. All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for jumping on today. Have a great weekend. I'm sure you'll be tuned to Goody at 5 and Mike at 6. And I don't know if we found out for sure when LaFleur's speaking, or if they're just going to slot him in between or however that works. But I'm sure
they listed it at 6 approximately, which is usually what they do for a post practice. So we'll find out together.
Exactly. Thank you so much for jumping on today. And thanks for all the great work you do at The Leap. And we'll be following, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right. Take care.
You too. That's Jason Hirschhorn here on The Fan at 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, free on the Odyssey app. Charlie, did I see, did somebody deliver Frosties?
Somebody did deliver Frosties.
Is this real?
This is real. My father. Awesome. Shout out to Ted, my dad. Huge gift. This is awesome. I was super excited. We were getting through all this big news.
Yeah,
There's one for each of us, Tommy.
Let's
There's
go.
one for each of us, baby.
I count 3, and I count 3 of us. So let's go.
Man's a hero.
Hold on. Say it again.
Do you know I was connected with Charlie's father before Charlie on LinkedIn? So random.
I'm kind of big time.
Ted, but Ted's a dog, man.
That's
likes
amazing.
all my tweets.
He really is.
And we got a Frosty now, too.
I love it. I think I was connected to him before because when I filled in for Sparky a year ago, I think Ted and I connected on Twitter before Charlie and I did.
Also, we are 3 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube.
I'm not saying somebody jumped it up today,
but if we get that number, we're going to freak out. So go ahead, do that. Subscribe, smash the like button.
Smash that subscribe button. The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. He's Tommy Wirtz. Charlie Usen's here. My name is Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. Again, our thanks to Jason Hirschhorn for jumping on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. You're listening to Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Wendy's. Frosties. Delicious. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. It is Friday. The weekend is here. Cannot wait for it. Brian Gutekunst is speaking in about 8 minutes. In about an hour and eight minutes, newest Green Bay Packer, Micah Parsons, will speak. Thank you to Ted for the Frosties. They are fantastic. And a week from today, that's right, next Friday, Sparky will be live in person at Rally House in Wauwatosa at the Mayfair Collection from 2 to 5. You can gear up for the Packers home opening game right there at the Rally House. The Fan will even be registering people to win a $250 Rally House gift card. Man, if I had a $250 gift card to Rally House, I would crush. I would absolutely crush the gear.
What you get? $250. That's like 2 jerseys, right?
Well, I don't know if I'm doing jerseys, but I'm definitely doing Brewers sweatshirts.
Jerseys. Jerseys are a little cheaper.
You
you
get
know?
a few jerseys.
Yep.
But
I don't have a Brewers sweatshirt, and I feel like I
pretty
need it.
much what
I have
you can
Bucks,
say.
I have Packers, but I don't have Brewers.
You could say like they're giving away a Micah Parsons jersey and extra
and
cash,
more, right?
Yeah. You know, like
because they will definitely have Micah Parsons jerseys by then.
That would be awesome.
You would assume so.
You gotta
0.
It's gotta be
0.4.
Oh, that'd be kind
Like
of cool.
a decimal.
We said 00. I don't think that's allowed, but 00 would
Double
be
zero.
You said 99 before.
Sick.
Just throw a 1 on there. 100.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
100. Oh, dude,
100
Micah
would be
Parsons
sick.
is 100.
The first 100 in NFL history would go crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Two subscribers away, by the way.
There we go. So Rally House next Friday afternoon. Join Sparky. We are monitoring our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@thefan_Milwaukee. We're at 998 subscribers on our way to 1,000. Help get us there. We just need 2 of you to smash that subscribe button. I've hit it. It says subscribed on my screen. Charlie, you subscribed?
I am subscribed.
What if Charlie hadn't what if Charlie this whole time thought he subscribed?
He was
And it
I'm
was like
subscribed. Dude.
right,
I'm
but like-
subscribed.
Yeah,
I
but like
promise.
wasn't sure
I
he
feel
was.
like I remember asking Sparky about his wife, and she was like, "Oh, she got this notification for us." I was like, "Is she subscribed?" She's like, "No."
What?
Like, what
Do
are
you
we
think
doing?
Sparky's subscribed?
Mrs. Thunder
No
is
way he
definitely
figures.
subscribed.
I mean, I think Sparky is subscribed though.
You
To
think
be fair.
so?
I know Bart Winkler is as well. That was another guy who hooked us up.
That's a big one. Yeah, we'll take it. Brewers at Blue Jays 6:07. First pitch tonight. It's Freddie Peralta taking on Shane Bieber. It's Shane Bieber's second start of the year. He did pitch very well against the Marlins in Game 1. Tomorrow, Kevin.
We did it.
Oh,
Wait, hold on.
No. Are we there?
Right
1,001
No.
now, actually,
Wow,
according to my
let's go.
count.
Yes,
Yep.
I got it right here.
1K subscribers, baby. Let's go. I love you, Milwaukee. I love you, Southeastern Wisconsin. I love you, everyone streaming on YouTube and everybody streaming on the Odyssey app, wherever you may be. I love all of the fans of the fan because we are all fans together here.
We even got a little like confetti on the screen and stuff. That was fun.
That was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That was
almost as electric
dude, who
as
did
Micah
that?
Parsons.
1,000
dude.
now it's
Oh no, somebody did that on purpose.
So I'm gonna start dropping
Charlie,
down
did
now.
you unsubscribe?
Oh man, that was
I'm
funny.
still here,
All
dude.
right,
I'm
that was
still
funny.
here.
It was still at 1,000 clean though.
Yep.
1,000 clean.
Quinn Priester, Kevin Gossman tomorrow. Max Scherzer, Brandon Woodruff on Sunday. 12:37 first pitch. A great weekend of baseball. I'll be at the Brewers game on Monday. I can't wait for that. And I know that we're all looking forward to Goodies coming up. The leadoff show with Tommy Wirtz is coming up, but it's going to be kind of a hybrid show today, Tommy.
Yes.
It's leadoff show / Brian Gutekunst press conference / Micah Parsons press
Leading
conference.
off with Packers.
Yes, leading off with Goody, assuming he's on time, because he might be still meeting with Micah. Like, you never know. I'm sure Matt LaFleur will jump in there as well and get involved in some way. My thanks to Drew Wagner, to Tim Dillard, to Jason Hirschhorn. My thanks to Tommy Wirtz, and my absolute gratitude to Big Charlie Usen.
I gotcha.
For you do, and Ted's got me too.
He's got you too.
Yes, he does. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. The leadoff show, Brian Gutekunst, Tommy the Machine Gun Wirtz, is next on The Fan.